town is full of monsters. How can you just sit there and eat pizza?
She said she'd be fine. Plus a fatso like me would just slow her down. We should be inclusive and put...
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever podcast for NowStalgia YT Gaming YT. Let's get it.
Tell your friends and family that the world's shittiest internet show is now available.
We all have podcast waters. We're all ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Brandon.
Yes.
You weren't drinking the water. So, you're welcome, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about Silent Hill 2. I know, this is coming hot off the presses from the last episode. About, a small, like, month or two ago that the last episode has come out.
Things happened, okay? Things aren't great in the world right now.
It's true.
So...
I'm sure it is what it is. But we're here now. We're going to talk about experience. We're going to talk about the lack of experience.
Oh.
And and what the fuck was the first thing we were going to talk about?
This is true podcast style.
For real. We spent like the first 20 minutes of being over here storyboarding some shit, and Robbie immediately forgot everything.
Look, there's an order. There's an order.
If you thought that 2 months of waiting was going to increase the production value,
You were fucking sad.
You're not watching NotStalgia. Alright, so our first point that we came up with was to you.
Yes.
Your expectations of the game prior to recording or playing.
Okay.
And how you feel they held up.
Okay, I thought, because I don't share a lot of the same gaming opinions as Robbie, I feel like we just don't click that much. We like a lot of the same games, but a lot of the games that he likes, I don't necessarily like. On some levels, it's not all levels.
Right.
Because, we like Resident Evil and shit. But again, besides the point, I went into Silent Hill thinking it was going to be absolute shit. Because I've almost never played a good... What the fuck? What's the genre?
Survival horror.
Survival horror game. I've never played a good survival horror game. So I went into this thinking, wow, this is going to be a shitty experience. And I'm just going to sit here playing a game I don't enjoy. Almost like I'm playing Kingdom Hearts 2 with Jordan. But, and how they ended up... I think we'll leave that for the review part at the very, very end, because I have a lot to say about the overall feel of the game towards the very end. But initially coming out of the car, going down the forest, I was like, holy fuck, sound design is really good. There's not like footsteps, but there's like noise, like ambient noise. I'm going in, I'm scared as hell. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. It's kind of weird. But what also made the experience like more... I don't know how to say palpable. Is that the fucking word?
That is a word.
That is a word?
Yeah, you're right. It is a word.
That's facts. Is having Robbie there. Because if I hadn't played the whole game, deadass without Robbie there, I wouldn't have been able to play the game. Way too fucking scary for me. I can't play scary games. No
Did you guys have the lights off during your recording?
Yeah, we had the lights completely off, which is why we couldn't do a face cam, because we did talk about it. And that also led to some other scary things that we'll probably bring up later that happened completely randomly, that made me kind of want to piss myself. But I'm not as scared outside of games as I am inside of games. It's really scary games that make me scared. It's not scary things.
That's so weird.
I know it is really strange, but we'll touch more on that later. But yeah, that's it for at least the beginning expectations of that game.
Okay.
What's next?
What was it?
Your overall experience. How was each?
Like going from the forest and exiting into the actual like streets of, it's called Silent Hill, right? The place of Silent Hill was nice because it was scary, but like as with every new game, you kind of expect like there won't be any combat, there won't be any thing until like the actual tutorial comes up.
Right.
So, but even before that, and having that in my mind, it was always like Robbie in the back of my head because I had my headphones fucking fully on for that immersed experience. It's a friendly this. It's a friendly red square. It's a friendly drink. It's a friendly chair. Rhyming the whole time. But we finally got to the part where I had to get to like the first enemy. I had no fucking idea. The controls in that. Mm-hmm. I wish I could have ran. I tried to run. There was one part where I remember, this is a little bit down the line, where I did actually go into a room and try to run, mm-hmm. but I ran directly into the thing that was chasing me. And Robbie was like, no, you gotta go forward. So it was, man, astounding. I kind of wish that I would have gone to the park first, but I think I'm glad that I didn't, because I feel like I skipped a lot of just baloney, because I just went into the apartments and got right into the fucking action.
Baloney.
A bunch of baloney.
What was you said you missed a lot when like you went back and you watched the episodes? Like what kind of shit?
I didn't feel like I missed like too much, but when I was going through the episodes, when James would be like running down a street or running down mm-hmm. an apartment hallway, like I feel like I did like a lot of exploration. And, like, seeing a lot of shit, because that's how I like to play video games. Mm-hmm. As you can tell, because I look at the map every 2 seconds and, like, check every fucking door. But even, like, all the exploration and checking that I did, when I was watching the video, there'd be time where James would be running down the street, and he would fucking snap his neck to look at something on the ground and then just keep running. It would just be, like, the quickest thing. I'm like, oh, I wonder what the fuck that was.
Ostrich didn't care he's looking.
Yeah. So it was just things like that going through the whole experience that made it interesting to actually like watch it again as I played it. It was I had thought about like making my own playthrough and going through it again mm-hmm. because like I wondered if there's anything I missed, but you know, as we're going to talk about later on, the other endings and stuff, like, I had seen the other endings, and I watched the playthrough, and I was like, oh, I did miss a few things, and I know what I missed.
Now, I'll let you know, there definitely are things you missed, because you brought up menus that skipped your ability to even know about them.
Like, did he miss anything, like, any interesting, like, items, other than just, like, health and ammo and shit?
No, he got like all the weapons and stuff, but he missed out. One of the side quests he missed out on was when you're in the elevator. You're going down, and then a guy like a game show host goes on. He's like, "Welcome to the Silent Hill Game Show!" But Brandon got scared and like and exited the elevator. The problem is that you can't get that dialogue again.
Oh.
And you don't actually answer the questions in there. You actually have to go, there's like a whole like different thing you go to. You have to remember what you think the correct answers are. And there's like a box that has like different things. Mm-hmm. And you put in which answer you thought was correct. And if you got it right, then it like opened up and there's a bunch of items and shit. If you got it wrong, a bunch of enemies would come into the room.
What kind of items do you get?
It was just like
just like
from what I remember, I'm pretty sure it's like a lot of like ammo, health, stuff like that, just like some extra stuff, which we had like an abundance of anyway by the end. Mm-hmm. But you know, he didn't even get to hear like any of the questions. He couldn't have even flexed any Silent Hill trivia that he probably didn't know.
Yeah.
What's all these games having trivia in it?
I mean, it's just
trivia's fun. You get to think about worthless bullshit that nobody ever will care that you know.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Are you done with that?
Yeah. Nothing more to add on?
Okay.
Before we move on completely, earlier you said you never played a good survival horror before?
Yeah.
But you played Resident Evil 4, right?
Yeah, I have played Resident Evil 4.
And you've played Resident Evil 7.
I haven't played Resident Evil 7.
I thought one time you told me that you were so scared that
I played the demo.
Oh.
I never beat the demo. I was too scared to play it.
Oh my god.
I was way too scared to beat the Resident Evil 7 demo. I got pretty far though. I know that doesn't sound like ecstatic.
You got far in the demo.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, in like the 3.5 minute demo.
I did beat the Resident Evil 2 demo.
We all did. I think I went over because I beat it. You know how it was only like the 30-minute one-shot thing. So I beat it on my Steam account until like the 30 minutes was up. Now, mind you, after I'd done it the first time, I was able to get it down to like 2 minutes. So I played it like a shitload of times at my house. Then I went over to Brandon's house, played it on Byron's PS4 until the time ran out, and then played it on Brandon's computer until the time ran out.
Oh
Jesus
my.
Christ.
But so yeah, I have played those games. I've also played Code Veronica as well. And the main difference there is like Resident Evil 4 is like in a sense a survival horror, like in a lot of ways. But like to the core of that game, it really feels like to me that that's just an action game.
It is.
And like there was not a lot of points where like I've gotten so scared as I have in Silent Hill. Because when I was playing Silent Hill, even at my most confident and most like ass-kicking nature, I threw my shoulder out. I got so scared that I jumped and I almost dislocated my shoulder.
I remember. That was when we were in the basement, right?
Yeah.
And because he had to like give up all of his items.
Yeah.
And
then there was like a mannequin that popped out. Yeah.
So it's never like I've been scared in Resident Evil 4 with the fucking, particularly one of the main moments that a lot of people know in Resident Evil 4 is the big fish shooting the water. I did just when I was younger shoot the water because I was like, ooh, fishies, boom, 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 and then I got 8 and I was like, oh. So, and then with like Code Veronica, like I haven't played that game since I was such a small kid. And I don't even really remember being scared of that game or remember it being much of survival horror. I just remember that game was fun as fuck. And that's it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But any other survival horrors that I've played have been... Morty. They've been fucking, like, convoluted as fuck. And there's been no... Like, Silent Hill has this fucking map that James just like, that door is fucking broken. That door is locked. I can go in this one. And then there's some sort of clock fucking puzzle, and he's like, I just have a pretty picture of a clock. There's something in there. There's something in that room. Not sure what. We'll figure it out later.
I feel like when most people talk about Silent Hill 2, they always talk about how fucking convoluted it is. Like all the puzzles and shit.
That's true, but it's convoluted in such a organized, perfected way.
I remember having to yell empty at you like 20 times during the coin puzzle. I remember
I remember that.
There's only 3 coins and there were like 5 slots. And the first one, or I can't remember if it's the first one or the second one. One of them's empty, and it literally like it says silent and empty, like for the description, like because you're supposed to read like a little poem, and that tells you where the coins are. And it was like, whatever. What sits next to him is silent and empty or so. And I was like, yeah, think about it, silent and empty. And he was like, the old man coin. I was like, silent and empty.
I feel like I did most of the puzzles okay, but that one may not have been my brightest moment. I was just thinking far too hard about it. I was like, he's old. He doesn't say a lot, and he's dead inside. Like, that's what was in my mind thinking about it.
Like chills, like, like everything about this old man on the coin, even though you've never met him before.
Holy.
Who's your favorite character?
There's not a lot of characters in the game that I liked. Literally just James. James is fucking such an inspirational person. Holy fuck. I don't really care about any of the other characters in that fucking game, even though a lot of them are really well written. But to this day, I live by James's fucking motto of, why not?
Yeah, I mean, your wife is sick, why not just kill her?
Does this go to hell? One way to find out. Gotta go down.
Moonwalking down.
So,
yeah, like...
about the other characters, are they real? Because I know, like, some are, like, manifestations of, like, James's feelings and shit. But, like...
So, that's up for debate,
to
be honest. The only character that is guaranteed to not be real is Maria. And you can assume that Angela and Eddie are real. Because they weren't in the town. Like, you actually meet Angela, like, outside of town. So... She could be real. Eddie could be real, but I mean, it's hard to say.
Don't you meet Eddie in like the bathroom?
Yeah, you meet him in the apartment bathroom.
Right.
So
That's
you
not
meet
in the
him
town?
you meet him in the town.
Okay, but
I think and Angela and Eddie both kind of have their own personal versions of Silent Hill as well. And I don't know if there was ever a part where Maria, I don't remember
the chick that looks like your wife.
Yeah.
Maria.
I don't think there was ever a point that I remember exactly where Maria directly interacted with Eddie or Angela.
All right, so here I'll go over something that you never saw because we never played Born from a Wish or whatever like the alternate scenario is called. So in Born from a Wish, Maria explains that she was like literally like born like 5 minutes ago, and she doesn't really know like what her like purpose is or anything like that. It's just that like she knows she's supposed to be in this town and she knows she's supposed to get to that park, and that's pretty much it. So she's definitely like something that was created by Silent Hill for James specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little, so I don't particularly enjoy that side scenario because it feels really dumb. Just like the whole thing, because she like starts out and she's just like a 5-year-old. She's like, she doesn't know what the fuck's going on and she's like really curious about everything. And then as soon as James comes in, she's like, "Hey James, you wanna peek at my fucking vag, huh?" That's what she's because that's what her job's supposed to be. She's supposed to like seduce James, right?
Right.
Because like he feels bad about killing his wife because of reasons that we'll get into when we get to like the symbolism stage.
Right.
And I feel like her job was to in like a fucked up way, her job was to make him fail at like his quest of like coming to like acceptance that he killed his wife and that and that he's okay with his feelings while his wife was sick.
Mm-hmm. And then what about the girl?
Which one?
The
little girl? Okay,
yeah.
so she's definitely real as well.
Okay.
Because you get like letters from Mary, like your actual wife, who because they were in the hospital together.
Oh, okay.
And she just happened to like recover and get out of the hospital.
I see. Okay.
So,
but why is Silent Hill like a physical place?
Yes. So Silent Hill. Well, we haven't played the first one or the third one, and that explains why Silent Hill is the way that it is.
Uh-huh.
But the weird thing is that Silent Hill 2 is literally nothing like Silent Hill 1 or 3. They take place in the same place, but like
the same physical location.
Yes,
but
of
different.
Silent Hill. Yes.
Okay.
So, but the thing about Silent Hill 1 and 3 is that like it's not this like psychological sort of it is. But it's not like you like go there for your own personal punishment.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like a child was set on fire and expected to birth the new god of this world.
What?
And her own like trauma and all that actually creates the monsters. So it's kind of weird. Silent Hill 2 is kind of like an outlier. Like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But then again, nothing makes sense when a cult tries to birth a new god and it fucks up and somehow curses a town.
That's big facts.
And that's all the characters, right?
So yeah, there's Laura, James, Eddie, Angela, Maria, Mary.
Yeah,
that's it.
Fucking like having that refresher of characters, like for like a general like lit or like feeling of all the characters. Like I liked Eddie just because of the opening scene. I'm sure you guys seen that scene. A+. That's really the only reason I like him, is just because that part is really fucking funny. Angela, I didn't really care about most of her interactions. I just thought she was like a weirdo, but not in the same way that I thought like James was a weirdo. But then you get like this really deeper meaning and deeper interaction with her on some fucking stairs where you kind of see into her like version of Silent Hill, and that was cool. That made me like her a bit more. But let me get back to why James is the fucking pariah, the standalone character, the carry,
the messiah of Silent Hill 2.
Man, the amount of times, like from progression from the very beginning of the game to the end of the game, like thinking about all the stupid, weird things that James has done, I'm gonna just go into Silent Hill. Here's a graveyard. It's a little foggy. I can't see much. Is this a hole in the wall? Yeah, let me reach my hand in there. Like, the amount of just completely random things that he does and just comes up with fucking results every time. He is a machine of a person. You can't, like, deny his practice. Man, you can make a religion out of that. What an amazing character.
It probably already is.
James.
Do you think that
It's
might
just
be
called-
The King James Bible.
Oh,
damn.
Oh,
fuck, dude?
Is that what that Book of Eli movie was about?
Book of Eli was just Silent Hill? Oh my.
Has been all along.
You just couldn't think your chair's okay over there,
Did it
Robert?
when
That
we were
was
laughing, okay?
that was scary.
You just gotta let yourself go. It'll protect you. It'll hold
I already
you.
have let myself go.
What were you gonna say, Gavin?
Fuck.
Do you think...
Do you think that the way that he acts is a product of his like own like doing so, or maybe it's like something to do with the environment that he's in? Maybe it's like Silent Hill, like
No,
forcing him.
No, not at all. I think he does that stuff because he is built different. He is built different.
just different.
Like,
I guess.
even before he gets there to Silent Hill, the whole, like, I get the process and the sentiment, and, you know, his wife is sick, he wants to kill his wife. But he does it. He kills his wife. That's different. Nobody really kills their wife.
I would argue that a lot of people kill their wives.
On the grand scheme of things, I don't think a lot of people can say for sure that they've killed their wife.
James's moral relativism is off the scale.
Fuck, what was I gonna ask?
James is icy. Fuck.
Oh, so how do you know anything about like I assume you do, but the development of Silent Hill 2?
Oh man.
Was it made in like a week? Why is the voice acting so
my
terrible?
God.
Alright, so that's actually a good question. The voice acting is terrible because all the people in that game are terrible.
What?
James
Oh,
is a
like,
fucking weirdo. I don't know if you noticed.
yeah.
He sees a toilet laden with diarrhea, piss,
Yeah.
and shit, and he's like,
Why
I'm
not?
just gonna put my hand. Oh shit, a wallet!
That's crazy.
So they purposefully got shitty voice actors because they're shitty people.
So I think it's like a twofold thing. I think they did want them to sound like weirdos.
Uh-huh.
I think they were also Japanese.
Oh, you think
Not the voice actors,
Oh.
but the directors for the
right?
voice
Like
actors.
they didn't have like somebody like
They didn't know that English.
okay.
Yeah, but I do think in some ways it was purposeful that they were meant to sound like weirdos.
Yeah, I can kind of understand sometimes, but sometimes it's just like, what? Why are you talking like this? Like, this is not how human beings talk to each other.
No, and like I said, it's because they're in Silent Hill for like the express reason that they've either done some fucked up shit or some fucked up shit has happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not normal people. They're not like having like a regular conversation with each other. They're like mentally broken or like sociopaths. They're just fucking trying to communicate when they can't understand like what a normal person actually talks like.
Okay.
Damn, when are we going to Silent
Sounds like the place for me.
The remake is not any better either with the voice acting. It's
So
a little bit. James is a little bit better.
well, they
because
got
it's got
so
what's-
they got
what's his face?
it's the guy that played Booker DeWitt in
Bioshock
Bioshock Infinite. What is his name? Tom? Is it?
I know, but I don't.
Yeah, I
don't
can't remember.
his
They
name.
got actual professional voice actors. However,
Didn't save it.
it didn't. And in the remake, actually, Guy Seehey, the voice of James Sunderland in the original,
Mhm.
had to get everybody to sign away their rights to get paid to have the original voice acting like as an option in the game.
Holy.
Oh, okay.
Because they were originally going to remake it and then, not pay them for, their voice. Because they weren't using their voices anymore. They were using different voices. And Guy Seehey knew that, professional voice acting would be just as bad.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that, like, the voice acting, while it is bad, is sort of like what puts some of, like, the charm into, like, the interaction. So, like, I can go into a studio and I can read out some dramatic shit and it'll sound bad. But if it's a shitty book, why are you going to pay somebody like $10,000 to read out this shitty book? When you can just pay me like $10 and like a Happy Meal, and I'll do it for you.
Well, while the game doesn't have good voice acting, you know what it does have?
Huh.
Good music.
It really does. And the funny thing about that is that, like, a lot of the music I couldn't listen to in the game because I was too, like, scared and filled with adrenaline and, like, sweating and crying and pissing and shitting. So, like, I couldn't listen to it.
I couldn't get the smell out.
It just kept rising from my crotch area to my nose. Was no getting rid of it. But, fuck, man. That game has some crazy music. And the only time really in-game that I could appreciate it is when I knew that I was about to shit my pants. Or when I was pissing out of my eyes at the very end. Because, man, the ending, the song... Crying. So, like, yeah, because, like, I like the build-up stuff, like, I wanted to get jiggy with it, but I was too scared. And then, fucking the end, I was crying, but I was like, whew, this shit's flopping, and I'm sad. So, like, but the sound production was amazing, and the music direction was phenomenal. Theme of Laura is different. Absolutely different of a song. Holy shit, that shit is a boss.
So I know you listen to a lot of like video game soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any Silent Hill 2 music in your?
Oh yeah, I have almost the whole thing.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah. So the thing about Silent Hill soundtracks is that like half of them. All right. So in the first one, this is not true. All of them are ambient music. There's actually like very little reason to listen to them outside of like you want to go for some aesthetic, like as you're like fucking watching like I don't know, like reading like a scary story or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other half of most Silent Hill games is actual music, and it's all composed by a guy named Akira Yamaoka, and it was for a long time. Even after it started getting really shitty, he still did the soundtrack. I'm trying to think, what was the last game? So the last game that I know for sure that he did was Silent Hill Downpour. And Downpour was a pretty shitty game. Not gonna lie. Everything after Silent Hill 3 is not great. It only gets like it starts good. You go to 0 and you're like, and then you go to like 4 and you're like, and then you go to fucking Homecoming and you're like, oh no. And then it just, it just got worse. But he did the soundtrack for all of them. And the soundtrack in every single game he's made is fucking sick. Silent Hill 2 is probably like the best example. But even in Homecoming, like easily the worst game of the series, has the sickest opening song. But you don't hear it because the whole time, Alex Shepard, that's the main character. The whole time, Alex Shepard is like, have you seen my brother? Where's Joshua?
Fucking another thing with like the music and stuff is I listen to a fucking very wide like range of music, and that obviously includes like video game music. But there's very few video game soundtracks that I would put up there with like some of the best that aren't like, how do I put this, like cheating. Like Guitar Hero 3 is a good soundtrack, but it's fucking Guitar Hero 3. That's cheating, But like shit like the things that Shoji Meguro makes on the Persona soundtracks, even if you don't like the games.
I can attest to this. I fucking hate Persona 5, but it's the best soundtrack.
I don't even fucking play Persona 5.
But I know every song.
I do. The soundtrack is that fucking good.
It's so good, dude.
Like, it's crazy. It's so good. Persona 4, Persona 5, amazing soundtracks. And then even like older games where like some people don't like, the soundtrack is still bumping as fuck. Like the Spyro soundtrack is really fucking good because they have so many classical rock elements, synths, drums. They play fucking Australian Aboriginal instruments. They get jiggy as fuck on
They
that
got
video
some
game.
real like Tibetan monks to like sing one
They
song.
really fucking
It's
did.
that shit goes so crazy, and like Silent Hill soundtrack is like up there with those games. Like that soundtrack is fucking crazy, and what makes it crazier is that I don't think that there's anything about the Silent Hill like music that makes it stick out as much as Spyro or as much as Persona. It's just really fucking good. It's really good music direction.
Yeah. So something really funny about like soundtracks is I never gave a shit about them ever in my entire life. But like I was just like, whatever, I won't play the video game. But I don't know, like the last couple of years, like it switched. Now I'll just be playing a game and I'll be like, fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Like I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. Music is very important to a video game.
Yeah.
You cannot have a good, well, I mean you can, but it is hard to have a good video game without good music. Fuck. Okay,
Yes.
moving on.
Uh-huh.
It's time.
Time?
I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of questions because people hear all the time that Silent Hill 2 has tons and tons of symbolism, and symbolism is kind of hard for some people to get.
All right.
And you want to know how I know that?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of hard for me to get, except for the ones that are like really in your face that you pointed out in the Let's Play, like what do you think the pistons and the buttholes are? I got that one.
You
Thanks.
got that one. There's some soft sort of perhaps like rape going on here.
What?
Yes, symbolism is deep.
Good talk.
All right, next topic.
But no, so a lot of the monsters in that game follow a similar sort of aesthetic. They look purposefully really out of fucking place. Like if you ever look at any of the monsters like against the background, you're like, this monster came from a different game. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. This monster doesn't belong here. And that's done purposeful. It makes them look a lot more. I don't want to say scary because nothing in that game is really like fucking jump out at you sort of scary. Like there are things that are sudden that might like go like whoo, but there's nothing that's like gonna make you scream like PewDiePie on stream, right? But there's a lot of things that are gonna make you make you anxious, nervous, shit like that are really just there to make you uncomfortable is the good word. And a lot of those monsters look really gross and slimy and kind of like the outside of a condom, and that's purposeful because I don't know. Are you trying to say that
You
I
look
look
like the
like
outside
that.
of a condom.
I look like that.
All right. Yeah, so a lot of them look like that because everything that's kind of sexy in that game, it's a weird way to put it because they're monsters, but a lot of them have just like their ass cheeks hanging out and shit.
I know your mom was in this game.
Yeah. But,
Whoa. Whoa.
Whoa, shout.
You said that at some point, and I don't know what monster you said it to. I think it was the I call them dogs, but they're not dogs. They're beds that are people.
My mom was in this game. But, so yeah, they look like that because when James's wife was like sick, right? He was like, man, I got this carnal desire to fuck. But he couldn't because, his wife was sick and he felt bad. So he would like the nurses are a good example. If you look at them, they got a hot bod, but they have an ugly bobblehead face. And the reason for that is because he saw all these fucking nurses that had like just fucking, it doesn't matter what they look like in the face. Like they could have been fucking butt ugly. But he saw they had like big ass, well who knows, they could have had like relatively normal tits and like a decent ass. But in his mind, because he can't fuck his dying wife, they're like hot as hell. And he feels bad about that, right? Because he's like, I shouldn't be having these on, my wife's dying. And then like he sees like just fucking legs and all that. And then there's the sickness aspect to a lot of the monsters as well. A lot of the monsters look really gross and covered in phlegm and, shit like that.
Yeah.
And even one of them spits at you. And that's just like, because his wife was sick, that's kind of like a more self-explanatory one. Because his wife was sick, she's fucking spitting up phlegm. Or some people interpret like the spit up as like she's like spitting dirty words at him. Like, because she talks about how like, I don't remember if Brandon actually heard it, but there's like a point where like she yells at him and tells him to get out of the room or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like when people are like dying, they'll go through a lot of emotions.
Yeah.
Like there's like the stages of like, you know, grief. So you know, it could be that it could either be interpreted as they're just sick and they're throwing up on him, or like they're like saying like mean things to them because they're dying.
Does it say what she was sick of? Like what her illness
It's
was?
just some
sick of
like
him.
mysterious disease.
Okay.
You know, it's just a mysterious ass disease. And Pyramid Head's another interesting character. And the thing about that is, I know everyone's going to hate to hear this, but anybody that likes the movies and likes Pyramid Head outside of Silent Hill 2, you are the problem. You're the worst people. You're the worst
They
Silent Hill
fucking men,
fans.
dude.
And the reason for that is because, like I said, Silent Hill 2 is a very different sort of game to like every other Silent Hill game.
Mhm.
Besides the later ones, and I'll get into that in a second. So, Pyramid Head was supposed to be James's like personal like tormentor, right? Like
Right.
the other guys, he asks Eddie about it at some point. He's like, "Oh, have you seen a red pyramid thing?" And he's like, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about." And that's because Eddie just simply never actually saw Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head's not like
Yeah.
just a monster. He's James's monster, and his knife actually holds like a great deal of significance. Because it's sort of like dragging him down, like he has to like drag it around. It's really heavy,
Mm-hmm.
and like he leaves that burden behind at some point and becomes stronger. He becomes faster. He kills Maria right after he leaves the knife, and that's symbolic of James killing his wife. Because like he figured like if you remember at the start of the game, he said that his wife died 3 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but it turns out she only died like an indeterminate amount of time, but it's very recently, like maybe like a week or two ago. At the end of the game.
What the fuck?
So, but she was diagnosed with the
Oh.
disease 3 years ago. So in his
I
mind,
see.
she was already dead the instant she was diagnosed with the disease.
Oh.
So that's why.
How is that like mentioned?
So Laura at
Symbolically.
the end of the game,
Symbolically.
yeah. Well, no, it's actually a lot. It's not really like super symbolic. You actually do find that one out explicitly.
Uh-huh.
Laura gives you a letter that says it's like a letter that she got like a week ago from Mary
Uh-huh.
that she was only supposed to get when she died, right? And James reads it, and James is like, "When did you get this letter?" And Laura's like, "Oh, I got it. I can't remember exactly how much time ago it was, but he says that he's like, 'Oh, you're a liar,' and she's like, 'No, you're an idiot, stupid fart face.'" So that's another interesting. But the knife, right? The knife is like is supposed to be symbolic of like Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head and James are almost like the same character in some ways. Like they
They have the same model, right?
No, Pyramid Head does not.
No?
But a
No.
lot of the dead bodies are actually just James's model.
Oh, okay.
You just never see the face because I mean it would be a little
Right.
more obvious. Like when you go into the apartment and you see the dead guy in front of the TV,
Mhm.
that's just James's model with blood all over it.
Asset reuse.
Yeah, it's an
I
important
mean-
part of any video game.
That's true.
But it's symbolic.
Yeah, I mean it could be. Who knows? Maybe they meant for it to be
Symbolic
symbolic.
asset
What about like the? I think you've already mentioned it, but like the fucking robotic scary cockroaches. Is that just
There is
because
no.
they're gross?
Okay, so that is the one
They're
area
just
where
on
there is no
bicycles.
symbolism. They
Yeah.
thought roaches were scary and they put roaches in the game.
All right.
They also put wheels on them.
Put
Scary.
wheels on them.
Well, they make like this sound when they're like next to you, but I think that's the radio making that sound because the radio actually makes different sounds for each monster.
Mm.
Whatever you say.
That's scary. I want to believe my Fast and Furious lore. You believe yours. Stay in your lane.
Trying to think, what other monsters? Are there?
Why were there two at the end?
Oh, 2 pyramid heads.
Yeah.
I think it's to show that like
Silent Hill 2.
yeah, Silent Hill 2.
Oh, Kingdom Hearts 2?
2 keyboards.
Can you
Silent
imagine-
Hill 2?
Can you imagine having to fight 1,000 pyramid heads?
It makes so much sense now. King James Bible? Silent Hill 2?
I don't think you're making any sense.
Superman?
All right, there we go. That's tying it together.
So you mentioned that anybody who likes Pyramid Head outside of Silent Hill 2 is the problem.
Mhm.
Can you elaborate on that? What does that mean?
So, Pyramid Head as a general Silent Hill monster was sensationalized in the Silent Hill movie. And,
Oh, wait. Oh, it's because Pyramid Head is James's monster, so anything
Right.
outside of Silent Hill 2 is Dookie.
yes, it's
That
not...
makes sense.
So the
Oh, okay.
movie... I'll touch on the movie for a second. the first movie's not so bad. If you look at
It's a
it,
pretty good movie.
but if you look at it by itself, it's not so bad. If you look at it next to Silent Hill 2, and you're an actual fan of Silent Hill 2, you wonder why they didn't just use the story from Silent Hill.
Is the first Silent Hill like based on Silent Hill 2 or any Silent Hill for that matter?
It's not.
Okay.
So it's based on parts of the first one and the second one. And the second one.
Okay.
So it's based on the concept that there was a little girl that was set on fire to birth a new god.
Hog.
And then it's also Pyramid Head is in there.
Okay.
But there is that cool scene where he rips that girl's skin off.
That sounds lit.
Yeah, he just fucking picks her up and goes like, and like her whole skin comes off in one go. It's crazy.
And he throws the whole thing at
like
them
Red
in the
Dead
church.
Redemption.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's cool.
The skin or
He
the
does
rest of
what?
the body?
He rips her clothes off,
Oh.
then rips the skin off of her body,
Right.
and throws her whole skin at... like, grabs her skin from the chest and just rips her skin off.
That's lit.
So
like a
on a
suit.
deeper, more relatable meaning, what you
Mhm.
said about Pyramid Head, does that mean that we don't respect Dead by Daylight players?
Absolutely.
No, you don't.
Why
Okay.
would you normally?
Yeah, I don't know why you even asked this question.
I uninstalled it.
I can talk about
Yeah.
my anger about that for a second, actually.
Mhm.
So,
Oh my
Go
God.
off, King. I'm ready.
So since, when else am I going to talk about this, huh?
That's facts.
So the Silent Hill chapter, Dead by Daylight, while it is kind of cool, it's really shitty because it feels like they just got the license for the movie. It feels like they didn't actually get like the license.
But they got
for the
James, right?
yes, but
As a skin,
well, yeah, they got him
True,
as a skin.
but still, they
but
got him.
before that, they had him
After
as
the fact.
quotes in like Pyramid Head's items.
Oh.
Or maybe they didn't. I think actually, Pyramid Head has a lot of items that only relate to Silent Hill 1.
Mm.
They just like mishmashed a bunch of shit together. And they were just like, yeah, put them in.
And I think like the lore for Pyramid Head is like fully unique too for Dead by Daylight.
I don't actually remember what it is.
He's like just an executioner. He just shows up and kills people.
Which is not true. Like I said,
Right.
there's probably like something of that nature
Mhm.
in Silent Hill. Like, it's not too far-fetched to say that Eddie and Angela had a similar sort of like antagonist.
Right.
But it definitely wasn't Pyramid Head like as he appeared to James.
It was Torchlighter. It was
Yeah, it was fucking Molester. That was Angela.
Pentagonal cranium.
Yeah, it was a
Square
triangle.
Square.
like
It was Hexagon Man. But yeah, Dead by Daylight also just sucks. I mean,
Yeah.
what more can you say?
Yeah, I uninstalled it. I can't
What
do it
more
anymore.
can you say?
That's crazy. I didn't know you did.
Sponsored by
I've been
Behavior,
thinking
by the
about
way.
it again.
Dude. Why? You play Survivor. You should be fine. Anyway, moving on. How'd you like the ending?
Alright.
You feel
so-
satisfied?
Fuck yeah, honestly. Like I didn't. It's so weird and hard to talk about because like the ending was like so good and fit like a lot of the puzzle pieces and shit together, and it was like really sad in a way, but it was like melancholic. It made me want to cry.
It sounded like you were crying.
Yeah.
I watched
was
it
like,
today.
I was sniffling because I was
Yeah.
like, "Holy shit, this is really sad." But I'm gonna put this in a very vulgar way because it's the only way I can think of to put it.
Mhm.
It's like I had to take a diarrhea shit, but somebody shoved a butt plug up my asshole, so I couldn't take that diarrhea shit.
Mhm.
But I wanted to
Mhm.
because it was so fucking good.
Mhm.
But it was like, holy shit, like this isn't like a necessarily
Literally.
bad ending. Like this is like maybe the best possible outcome for such a shitty situation of all the things that I've fucking been through, all the YOLOs that James has fucking done, like all the fucking holes that I fell 500 feet down to land safely, like it coming out of all the shit that happened in Silent Hill 2 to the ending, like the whole playthrough, like that game was fucking A+. It was phenomenal. Like I think after I beat it and I went like home, because I'm gonna just transition this into like rating the game and like my overall thoughts.
Mhm.
Right after I'd beaten the game and I laid down, I was just thinking, like, I've played, like, an immense amount of video games in my life, and I don't exactly know where this would land on, like, my top 100 list.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, this game is, like, perfect. This is, like, a 10 out of 10 game. And I don't, like, rate a lot of games 10 out of 10. Not fucking Rocket League, not fucking Osu, not Dead by Daylight, not all the games I have thousands of hours in, not Spyro, Fallout, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, that game's fucking amazing. Again, that was just my general feeling right after playing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like, coming to terms and thinking about it more, like, I've come to a more, like, reasonable rating, even though it's still, like, extremely high. But that game is, like, a solid 9.5 out of 10. It was still an amazing game and an amazing experience. Literally kind of made it possible because Robbie babysat me so I wouldn't shit my pants.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I haven't played it, but when I was watching it, I was just like, there are so many good things about this game, but there is one thing that is not good, and they just keep shoehorning it in. Combat. Like, there was a lot of, especially like the bosses and stuff. Like, you literally just walk away, and then you blast them for 2 seconds, and then you run to the other side of the room. And it's like, I get they want, like, that feeling of, like, you know, scary, you're gonna die, but it just doesn't work. Like, if there was less combat, I think it would have been better, in my opinion.
That's, like, true, but I think, to be fair, that was also kind of my fault, because I, again, have no faith in my abilities playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
Zero faith. I went into that on, not the, like, was it the easiest difficulty?
Yeah, you did the easiest combat and then the hardest puzzle.
Yeah.
I should have just done, like, normal combat because, like, Robbie did make a point of telling me that, like, they literally give you, like, hundreds of shells of everything. Yeah. And we make a point in our friend group to over-exaggerate, but that wasn't an over-exaggeration. I had hundreds of handgun shots. I could have fucking...
But you've played it on harder difficulties. Does that actually, like, add to the experience?
No.
It's still just like an annoyance? Just
Combat's
like,
pretty bad, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's fine. Like, the game is more than just the combat. And that's why I just think, like, they should have took some of it out. Just had, like, the basic enemies. And then, like, the boss is gone.
So you gotta think about, like, the mindset of the people playing it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the,
Is that what you're going to say?
the games that were being made as well at the
That's
same
true.
time.
That's true.
They were competing with Resident Evil at the time, which was a big game. Silent Hill, like the original, like Silent Hill 1, was actually coming off of the like coattails of Resident Evil 2 when it first came out. And the thing that actually made it stand out against Resident Evil 2 was that it looked really good.
Right.
And Resident Evil 2 had the pre-rendered backgrounds and all that shit. Silent Hill 1 didn't. Silent Hill 1 had like actual like fucking computer-generated backgrounds the whole time. All the cutscenes looked really good. Like if you were to watch those cutscenes today, you'd be like, this looks like an artistic choice, but it still looks good. Like you can watch them today and still be impressed by them. And Silent Hill 2 wanted to do it. It did a similar thing. Like the cutscenes, to be honest, weren't as like revolutionary as Silent Hill 1's.
Mm-hmm.
They still looked good. They just didn't look like so like spectacular for the time. But I think they wanted to like follow the same sort of formula so that people wouldn't just like dismiss it right from the get-go. Because I feel like a lot of people back then, like even though like 3D video games were around for a while, they're still new. People were still trying to figure out like what worked and what didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was also pressure from the studio to keep combat in. Because if you look at a game, say like Deadly Premonition, where the combat is god awful, like it is the worst combat in any video game. But you sit through the shitty combat because smoking outside of people's windows to catch them like as they leave for work, so that way you could talk to them about the drugs you found in their motorcycle's gas tank, is the more interesting part of that game.
Right.
You just have to slog through combat. Oh god, what the fuck is that game? Swery, that's the guy who made Deadly Premonition. He was pressured by like his studio to add combat to that game, and I think that's just like that's just the problem. Like a lot of times, like if you see like a shitty video game design, you could probably attribute it to like some fucking guy who doesn't know shit about video games who's like, nah, I think that this game needs to have combat because every other game has combat.
Yeah.
Does the difficulty of Silent Hill make the enemies more bullet spongy?
Yes, it makes them so they take a little more damage, and it also makes it so when you pick up like ammo and stuff, you don't get as much of it.
Okay. I guess then that's fine. But like I didn't really feel too bogged down by the combat. But again, I think that's because Silent Hill was a game like made for me. I never felt bogged down by the combat because I was fucking scared of the things that were happening. Like there was never an instance where I was fighting, even when I was blasting fucking rounds, where I would have to be like, all right, that's enough slices. He's dead. You've shot it enough times. Because I was like genuinely scared like a lot of the time because that's how I am with those types of video games. I was gonna also bring up the like trying to like redefine like the feeling of the ending. There's not really a word better than melancholic that can fit the feeling of the ending, but there's a song. This is entirely for any 80, 90-year-old plus viewers that might be tuning in. But there's a song by Frank Sinatra where he says that he feels like happy, but in a sad kind of way. And it's like tied in to like how, like that's the best way I could describe the feeling of the ending, is that like I was happy, but I was like sad in a way that I was happy. But the only way to describe that feeling is like talking about that song, because the music and what he says in that song and the whole story behind that whole album, phenomenal. Just like the Silent Hill 2 story was fucking phenomenal.
Sponsored by Frank Sinatra.
Sponsored by Frank Sinatra. Nancy Sinatra, if you're watching.
Dividends in the mail, please.
If you could please arrive at my address with the money.
Any 90-year-olds in the chat, give us a call.
Also.
So, you said that you think Brandon got the best ending.
Oh, no, he did. There's like no doubt that's the best ending.
Right. Well, what about the other endings?
All right, so I'll go for the serious ones, and then as like a sort of like a wind down to the endings, I'll talk about the joke ones. So he got what I believe everyone calls the leave ending, and that's just essentially James has come to terms with the fact that his wife died and that he was, he killed her, and he realized that like he didn't kill her out of like necessarily malice or anything like that. He just, in some ways, it was a selfish act. He killed her because he felt she was like tying him down. But in some ways, he also felt like she was suffering, and it wasn't like fair to her to have to continue suffering like that. And then he leaves with Laura. He realizes that like he didn't actually need like the physical attraction like he thought he did. And then he goes and like has like a new life. Well, that's what you would assume. I mean, he leaves.
Right.
And then there are a few other endings. There's one that I can't remember the name of. I think it's just called the Maria ending. And if you play the game and you check on Maria all the time and you never bump into her, that's a big part. Bumping into her really fucks up that ending. Then instead of it being Maria, because you remember the last boss is Maria, like she turns around and she's like, "Oh, you don't want me no more, cunt," and then she turns into a monster. Well, if you do the Maria ending, it's actually Mary that's there, and she's like, "Oh, you just you just wanted me dead, you just hated me," and James is like, "You know what? Yeah, I fucking did hate you," and they have a big fight, and then James kills her again, and then
yeah, the audacity.
And then he leaves with Maria, right? They go into the car, and James is like, "What an adventure!" And then Maria gets in the car, and she starts coughing, and he's like, "You better do something about that cough." And then they drive off.
Oh, shit.
So, who knows how long that loop fucking goes on for. With other girls with M names. Maria gets sick, she dies, and a week later, James ends up back at Silent Hill, and there's some chick named, Marcy or something waiting for him. And then the final of the original endings is called the In Water ending. And it is that James did not come to... Well, he did come to terms that he killed his wife, and that, he may or may not have done it maliciously. But he decides that instead of, accepting it and, overcoming it, he's just going to kill himself. So he drives his car into the lake. And then he dies. And those are the original endings that were in the release version of Silent Hill 2. And then, well, actually, I know there are 2 other endings, but I'll talk about those in a second. There's another serious ending in the greatest hits version of the game, called I think it's called the Resurrection ending. I don't remember exactly what people call that one, but you have to collect all these items, and after you've collected them, James goes to the middle of the lake and performs some ritual that may or may not bring Mary back to life with, like, unclear results. Like I said, like, it may or may not work, and even if it did work, she may or may not be, like, a corpse zombie.
Do you think that ritual was the ritual that they tried to like do on the girl from the first one?
It's definitely a possibility. You don't really know, like...
That'd be fucking crazy.
Yeah, it would,
What if
and then...
she's the fucking new god.
That's some Full Metal Alchemist bullshit.
But yeah, you just collect, like, a lot of bullshit. And
that's New Game Plus exclusive?
Yes, that one you need to do. You need to beat the game first for it. And then we'll get on to the endings that everybody wants to hear about. And those are the joke endings. So, we'll talk about the one that's not quite as funny first. There is the UFO ending. And in that one, I'm trying to remember exactly how you get it. You have to pick up these, like, objects and go to, like, certain locations. Mm-hmm. And then UFOs show up, right? So the first time you do it, like, 1 UFO shows up, then 2, and then however many times it takes until eventually, like, 1 million UFOs show up. And then in Silent Hill 1, the protagonist is Harry Mason, right? Mm-hmm. You see his, like, PS1 model come down from the UFO. And James is like, he's like, who are you? Have you seen my wife? Her name's Mary, or whatever he describes her. And he's like, no, I've never seen that. Have you seen my daughter, Cheryl? She's, like, this tall, black hair. And he's like, no, I've never saw it. And then an alien shoots James. And then Harry just looks at him and they carry him into the UFO.
What?
And that's the UFO ending. Also, this
do you
whole
get
time,
to the end of the game, or is it just like
no,
as soon as you do the
cuts
last?
it pretty early. Another thing about the ending, it's all still images. It's like a 30s film. It's all still images, and all the dialogue is like it cuts to like the text of what they're saying.
It's like a fucking like silent movie.
Yeah, it is. It's got like the grain effect, and it's all got like the music.
Jeez.
And then the one that everybody loves the most is the dog ending.
Yeah.
And that one, I think there's literally like a key you find that unlocks a door, and James walks into that door. And mind you, this doesn't have an English voiceover. It's only Japanese.
For real?
Yeah. So
weird.
it's a Shiba Inu like hitting buttons and pulling levers, and James falls to his knees, and he's like, "It was you the whole time." And the dog comes over and like licks him, and that's it. And then like the ending's just like fucking. It's just like dog barking, and I don't know if you remember in the ending credits, it's got like the characters like high definition like faces like in the background or like the thing. It's just the dog. It's just the dog's head in the background. And I mean that's pretty much it. Those are all the endings. I think like as far as like symbolism goes for the endings, it's pretty like it's not so hard to understand. Like you just kind of like understand he killed himself. He drove his car in the water. He fucking got over like his wife's death and that he killed her, or that he may or may not have learned his lesson and tried to resurrect her instead. But
may or may not.
Do you ever find out where Silent Hill is? Doesn't it tell you where?
Where is Silent Hill? I think it's like somewhere in the middle. It's like Maine or something like that. It's not.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like some like older.
Man, they got Pennywise and Silent Hill.
Let me think. Where is it?
It's in San Diego.
Because the founding of Silent Hill. The mystical land of San Diego.
Mystical is right. That day was fucking. It was so foggy.
But Silent Hill was originally like the founding fathers of Silent Hill went there to practice their shitty religion. And in Homecoming, you learn like most of this information from Homecoming. There was the neighboring town of Shepherd's Glen. And they made a deal with the people of Silent Hill that the people of Silent Hill would not curse Shepherd's Glen if they sacrificed their first child every generation. And it's very stupid. To be honest, like, it's just why? Why did they do that? And since we're never gonna play fucking Homecoming, I don't fucking give a shit about it. I'm the only one that would give a shit about that game, and I don't. I'll talk about that now. It's got like 3 cool enemy designs, and a shitty everything else except the soundtrack.
Jeez.
There's one enemy. So this game has Homecoming has Pyramid Head in it, right? As as an enemy, because they wanted to make a game based off the movie, but they didn't want to call it Silent Hill the movie the game. Silent Hill the game, the movie the game.
Yeah.
So they made it based off this guy named Alex Shepard, who is a soldier man that just came home from war. And the only cool enemy is that all the bosses are based off of the children that were most recently killed by their parents because of the deal they made. And something went wrong. I won't say it just for anybody that wants to play a shitty game and somehow cares about this shitty story. But one of them is the doctor killed his daughter by like cutting her with a scalpel like 1,000 times. I don't know why he had to do that. He just, he did. So he does it to himself to like take penance for the action, I guess. But she is like a mannequin doll, like like the little like ones you'd like draw for like reference for drawing.
Yeah.
She's like one of those, and the way to kill her, like you like hit her, and like parts of like her body come off, and you can see it's all like fleshy underneath, like the mannequin parts. That is like the only cool thing about that game is that one enemy right there.
So, my experience with Silent Hill prior to everything was watching you play Homecoming, like 12 years ago.
Yeah, it was probably when it was new. It was probably when it was new, and I didn't know.
We got it from Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's
fucking wild, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember going into it with great hope and desire. I remember actually there was quite a bit of excitement for it because they only had one copy of it, and it was rented out for a long time. And I finally got my hands on it, and I played it, and I just brought it back the very next day.
R.I.P.
Alright. How'd you like playing the game?
Sick.
You think you did a good job?
Okay, well, if we put this on a scale where it's just me talking, we get rid of the other 4 people. I did phenomenally. I did great. I checked the map. I did all the things. I read the stuff. I did a lot of the puzzles. On a chronologically universal scale from beginning of the universe to the end of the universe, I did all of the puzzles really fast. So, I think that I did pretty good. It was sick. I did pretty good.
Hey, Robbie.
Yeah.
Now, if we're just talking, say that I'm not here.
Yeah, you're not here.
Okay.
No, Robbie.
The Brandon's
How
not
did
here,
Brandon
right?
play? Yeah.
No.
How did Brandon play the
You know what I
game?
hate about Brandon? No, I'm just kidding. So he actually did fairly decently. There was like a lot of like exploration and a lot of like times where I told him just to use his fucking gun and he just refused to do it.
He didn't want to waste his 1,000 bullets.
Yeah, I was like, look at how many. Like there was a time where I was like, why don't you just use the shotgun? You know how many bullets you have? He's like, I don't have a whole lot. And he looked and he had like 300 shotgun shells. Like there was like a boss he only used the pistol on, and I was like the whole time, like I think at first I was like, why don't you pull out your shotgun? He didn't say anything, so I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna let him learn his lesson. If he dies and we have to fucking play some of this again, that's his fault. But he did most of it pretty good. There were a couple puzzles where I had to like explain it.
Silent and empty.
Yeah, that one I had to repeat empty quite a few times.
He just was not getting it. I don't know how you didn't get it. Empty.
Again, like I said, I turned on
Because
my fucking...
silent and empty.
Exactly. I turned on my top 15 chills, top 15 moment, did some investigative work on how the old man felt in his life. The old man was silent and empty. I was like, it's gotta be the old man.
The old man?
Number 15. Silent and empty.
But also, to be honest, there's not a lot of puzzles you can fuck up. Like, a lot of the puzzles are actually just like finding an item and like knowing where that item like goes. There's only like a couple of puzzles where you actually have to think. There's the coin. The coin puzzle is like probably the hardest puzzle in the game. Then there's the hangman puzzle where you got to pull the right noose to let like the right guy free.
That one was the hardest. Even though I did get it very immediately, there's so much investigative work and reading. You have to read a whole fucking novel of things to figure out what was happening.
And I'm trying. What other puzzle was there even that wasn't really just like
The clock one.
Oh yeah, well the clock one
That one was easy.
is not very hard.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it just tells you like what time to put into the clock. It's not. Like,
Yeah, it was written right on the fucking wall. It made perfect sense. And then the music boxes.
Oh yeah, that one. That one I think took longer than it needed to, just simply because you refused to read the sides of the box.
Okay, no, but I didn't know that they had sides because I would go like next to the sign to read it, and then I would take the box instead of reading it. Like, I mean, yeah, it was my fault, but I just pulled a James. I just had, why not? Just had to fucking move it.
Put him in. But yeah, for the puzzle you did fine. For the combat, like I said, like he could have probably used his gun a little bit more than he did. And then there was a lot of unnecessary like shooting that happened. A lot of things.
For real, why would you not use the weapons and then just shoot at the enemy on the ground for 5 minutes?
Because they get up, and I'm scared of that. That's terrifying, dude. Especially the spitter ones with no arms. They just crawl. It's not.
dancing.
Yeah, it's not good. It's scary as fuck. I hate that. Using the great knife was sick though. I
don't think you hit anything with it,
No,
did you?
he killed a couple things with it.
Did he?
Uh-huh.
shit was sick.
Well, okay then. Anything else?
Silent Hill is really good.
What about his pausing? His pausing.
Oh, so there's that. Yeah, he missed out. Like I said, I don't remember. Did we talk about the elevator and how he fucked that up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked
Okay,
about
yeah.
sleeping.
So he fucked that up. That's one thing he did because I think he just left the elevator.
Yeah.
And then there's actually, ironically, this helped him get the ending that he got.
Mm-hmm.
But right before you fight the boss, when you're going through like the last part where you're in that like hotel,
Mm-hmm.
there's a hallway you walk down where Mary is like going through like some sort of monologue like after James like leaves the room.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, if you listen to that whole monologue, like if you actually sit there and listen, you have a higher chance to get the in-water ending where you kill yourself.
Oh.
But if you don't listen to it and you just run through it, then there's less of a chance that you get that ending. Which I guess, ironically helped him get the best ending. But he did get scared when she started talking, and then he paused.
For real.
It was terrifying. One more thing, because I know we're coming close to ending it, I wanted to talk about is I don't actually remember. My mind is completely fucking blank on if you cutted this or edited this completely out. But when we were like playing, I waited and I made 3 save files, and it was 666. And then right after I did that, you had a toy in your back garage go off and start like laughing and shit.
Holy shit!
Did you cut that out or
No, he left it in.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I just wanted to
We
bring
should
that
have
up.
made that a TikTok, to be fair.
Yeah. I wish I would have like actually recorded because like again like I said, I'm scared of things that happen in video games, not scared of things that happen in real life. Mm-hmm. So like I went back there as well and I was like, what the fuck is that? It didn't matter to me, but I just wanted to know. But I wish I would have like recorded and shown that it was just some fucking toy that just went off like right after. It was just coinky dink.
Winker dink.
Quinker dinker.
Okay. Well, I think that's it. I think we covered everything.
What we're gonna do next?
Give me a fucking second, Kevin. I'm
Also, have we
working on
ever
some
actually
shit.
introduced Robert to like...
No, I was gonna do
But
that,
you're
but you
gonna
guys just
see
kind of
him.
took the reins and went straight into it. So I was
You're
like,
gonna see me in
But
the
you're
intro.
gonna see him.
that's true. I also have an idea for
You're
like
gonna see him.
You're gonna see him.
You're gonna
Yeah.
see him.
you're gonna see him.
You're gonna see him.
You're gonna see him.
You're gonna see him.
He's gonna see him.
He's Eddie. I'm James. Brandon is Laura.
Yeah, we'll put credits.
And this is the Silent Hill podcast.
Anyways, I was gonna say you were gonna see him in our upcoming playthrough.
No, you go. No,
Okay, no, hey,
you go.
you're gonna see him in our upcoming playthrough of Jack,
Which one?
the first one.
And Daxter.
No, he's not in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh shit.
Spoilers.
Oh shit, you ruined it.
Damn.
Jack and Daxter and the Precursor Legacy?
I thought we were doing Jack and the Power of Juju.
No, the Precursor Legacy is the fourth shitty one. That
Fuck.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Is it just called Jack and
It's
Daxter?
called Jack and
No,
Daxter.
it's
Oh, okay.
called... I think it's called the Precursor.
The precursor legacy.
Is it? What is the fourth one called then?
The
Jack
fuck?
Racing? I don't fucking know.
No, there's a fourth one.
Jack X.
There's a literal fourth platforming game that
Oh,
nobody fucking
isn't
likes.
that one that that shitty one, like where the ending, like they fucking.
I don't
blow
know.
up that
All
shit?
I know
Okay.
is that they took away all of his fucking guns and made it a
Anyway.
platformer from the third. Like, I didn't understand it because the third one was so much like it was so much fun.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Mom.
you can tell how excited we are to get to playing Jack and Daxter the
Yeah.
first.
We're not gonna play.
If you want to take a
fourth one.
guess, if you want to take a guess at who hasn't played Jack and Daxter,
Leave us know in the
let
comments.
us know in the comments.
put it in the
Yeah,
comment section.
yeah,
You already know one of them that you're gonna see.
yes.
You definitely will see
Indeed.
me.
We got Jack and Daxter coming up, and then we also have Gavin and Robbie are gonna do Rogue Galaxy.
Oh yeah.
You know them.
Yeah, you know them. They've done stuff.
Yeah.
Gavin did.
That's gonna be really good from a recording standpoint.
Oh man.
Jordan just flipped the shit out of his complimentary podcast water.
Yeah. Whoops. But you know them. Gavin's done Paper Mario with somebody. I don't know who the fuck that guy was. And then obviously Robbie did Silent Hill because he talked about Silent Hill for like 25 minutes.
That's entirely wrong.
Well, we talked about it for an hour and 10, but you did a lot of the talking. He did a lot of the talking. You asked questions. I asked questions. He asked questions. Fuck you. Don't tell me how to run my show.
This is our show.
Rogue Galaxy,
You're
by
right.
the way.
Anyway, so that you look forward to that, and then also we're gonna do this again for Paper Mario and for Kingdom Hearts when those finish. So look forward to those. Those will be interesting,
Kingdom
When
Hearts
those-
2 is gonna be
when those
2 hours
finish.
dude.
because it's two
It's
Keyblades.
gonna be 2 hours,
God.
22 minutes, and 22 seconds.
Oh my
Oh, we
goodness.
gotta end it right here before it gets to 112.
Why?
If it gets to 112, we can't do the 222 on Kingdom Hearts 2. It just won't make sense.
What are you talking
It's a
about?
time-
I don't.
I really thought we were all on the same page.
I think by principle we have to let it roll past 112 now.
Yeah, I think we do.
Fuck, I thought we were on the same page with that one.
Oh my
I
God.
guess not.
No,
Anyway.
we're literally just waiting.
Just ignore whatever the fuck Brandon's talking about. He clearly doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Hang on,
This is Silent Hill 2, Brandon.
We gotta do it for another hour.
Oh, this is such a good complimentary podcast. Water.
Damn, my shit's gone.
Okay, but
Well,
I think that's it. I think we're gonna go now.
Alright.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Everyone say the slogan. If it's
And,
not.
and
well,
now that's nostalgia.
This town is full of monsters. How can you just sit there and eat pizza?